Welcome back to another episode of Dukes Nukes for episode 44. Call Blake Maislin. You get it?
Yeah.
All right. For movie, TV, and pop culture discussions, I'm here with Blaine. He's known for having a dog. This podcast is named after, and he's the official artist of the podcast. Get excited, Blaine. Do your art. Do an art thing. Wow, so much art.
Wait.
All right. That's too much art. Stop it. And then we have Will, who's also our editor and chief, a Marvel movie fanboy, and our movie salad. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we do a whole video now. We do videos. I'm on it, so maybe don't watch it. I don't know. And we're moving the episodes to be bi-weekly episodes. Will, explain that.
Well, we're trying to make better content.
So we're going to give us some breathing room, and we're going to push it bi-weekly now.
Well, this week we did 3 Martin Scorsese movies. Will?
No.
Scorsese.
You know who it is.
Scorsese.
Yeah, he deserves respect, actually.
Yes.
We did Taxi Driver from 1976, Raging Bull from 1980, and Goodfellas from 1990. All right, Taxi Driver. Will, do you want to explain Taxi Driver, or do you want me to explain Taxi Driver?
I want to see what you got. Go ahead.
All right. Travis Bickle is an ex-Marine and Vietnam veteran living in New York City as he suffers from insomnia. He spends his time working as a taxi driver at night, watching porn movies at seedy cinemas during the day, or thinking about how the world in New York in particular has deteriorated into a cesspool. He's a loner who has strong opinions about what is right and wrong in mankind. For him, the only bright spot in New York in humanity is Betsy. Betsy is a worker on the presidential nomination campaign for Senator Charles Palantine. He becomes obsessed with her, and after an incident with her, he believes that he has to do whatever he needs to make the world a better place in his opinion. One of his priorities is to be the savior for Iris, a 12-year-old runaway prostitute who wants to get out of her profession under the thumb of a pimp and lover, Matthew. Was that good?
That was a long summary, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think that spoils anything.
That's what I watched.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces going on, you know?
Like the car.
Yeah, cars move.
Taxi
That's
car.
what they do.
Taxi car drives.
Yeah, I mean, at its core, it's basically just a character study, of Travis Bickle, the Robert De Niro character, who is just a broken, lonely person.
It's the Joker.
It's
Yeah.
It's
Joker
the better version of
2019
the Joker.
completely rips off Taxi Driver.
I still like the Joker.
Lit-
But this is
from-
bad. This is a lot better.
And
than
that's
Joker.
probably... I didn't like it.
And the aspects that people go, oh, that's unique with Joker. Those aspects are from Martin Scorsese's King of Comedy. Blaine, it was your first time, so what did you think?
It was, like I said, like that unhinged... I don't like that kind of stuff, like the unhinged feeling that you get. Like, you know this man is just like... There's something going on in his head that's not right. And it's just kind of weird. And you're trying to root for him because he's the main character. And that whole last sequence, he just murders. I thought it was... Yeah.
He
just
He
murders.
does. He
does the murder. And that whole thing with the parents writing to him was weird to me because
she didn't want to go back to her parents.
She didn't want to go back to the parents, and then her parents were like, "Thank you so much, you saved our daughter."
Yeah, it's not a letter from her.
Right. You get the feeling that he wasn't the hero, but the last words of the film, he was the hero. But the whole time you feel that underlining.
That
this is just messed up.
I really enjoyed it this time because I was like, this movie is lying to me about this character. And I find that insanely interesting.
And they know it. They are purposely
they're
doing it.
Yes, exactly. Jack, I know you have some thoughts on this film.
I really only had 4. I didn't have a lot of thoughts.
4 thoughts.
4. I have 4.
First thought.
This isn't really anything about the movie. Jodie Foster. I was like, oh, because I was looking at the cast. I was like, oh, Jodie Foster's in this. I love Silence of the Lambs. And then I was like, I was going through the IMDb stuff, and I was looking at like when she was born and the year of the movie, and I was like, these don't really line up. And then she came on screen. I was like, oh, they do line up. She's like 12.
She was legitimately 12 when they shot it.
About, yeah,
boy.
like 13-ish, maybe at the highest. 14 could be pushing it, but I mean, she was very underage. Yeah. We already said one of my other things. I said the Joker, but better. And then I put just the sad downfall of a man. I put, in the end, I'm still rooting for him at the end. I know he's misunderstood, but he's got the heart. He's got the spirit.
He needs help.
He does need help.
I was going to say put down.
Whoa, hang on now.
Sorry, too much.
That's a little political. But we're a political podcast,
Was it?
so it's fine. Yeah.
My thought was, what if he had gone through with the political assassination part and had been put in jail? Then he wouldn't be out on the streets, as a ticking time bomb. So the whole point was to give him that fake heroic act, because again, that was not intentional. That was not the intended outcome.
Yeah. Right.
So to give him that
Right.
fake heroic thing, it just makes it terrifying at the end.
Right, because it gives him almost confidence to do it again.
Yeah, he got away with it.
Blaine, I don't know if you noticed this. You know who's in The Joker? Robert De Niro,
Oh,
who plays the main guy in this.
yeah. Who's he playing the Joker?
He's the guy who gets shot in the head.
Oh, yeah, he's the
guy.
interviewer.
He's like, you think this is not a funny joke? This is not my other movie I made 40 years ago.
Was he in? He wasn't in Goodfellas, but he was in Raging Bull.
Yes, he was in Goodfellas.
He's in
Was
all.
he?
He's
He was in all of
these
them.
movies.
I
He's
knew
been in 9 Scorsese movies.
Wow.
Yeah, they collaborated a lot, and then Scorsese and the writer of this film, Paul Schrader, collaborate a lot. Paul Schrader wrote Raging Bull as well. He didn't write Goodfellas. I've got most of my facts are Martin Scorsese based. Martin Scorsese mapped out pictures and camera movements for almost, if not every single shot in the movie. It was a low budget movie. It cost a couple $1 million, and so he mapped out every movement, where the camera was going to be, what the set was going to look like, in an effort to save time on the day, to then give the actors more time to sink into their roles, which I credit with the great performances, because the actors were given time to do what they do best, which, notoriously, that "Are you talking to me?" segment was improvised, because Robert De Niro just started going and getting into it, and Scorsese just lets that play out. And then he also talked about the way he shot Travis, where Travis is usually framed by himself to show the loneliness, and then when talking to other people, they're in the frame with Travis. There's not a lot of instances where it's just close-up of one other person. So take the segment where Palantine and his assistant are in the back of the cab. Palantine and his assistant are always in a frame together, but Travis is isolated, which subconsciously gives you that, I don't know, you really feel that Travis is a loner.
Yeah.
What a loser.
Yeah, what a loser. Just like Jake LaMotta.
I think you're going to say like Jack.
No, I was trying to give you transition.
Yes, let's all transition to the next segment.
Raging Bull?
Raging Bull, Blaine.
Woo!
Do you have a description, or would you like me to? It's a shorter description if you want me to do it, though. But you can
Go
do-
for it.
No, but
If
you
you-
can do yours. You looked excited.
I mean, I
Should
probably
we-
got the same thing you have.
Should we do it at the same time?
Sure.
No, let's not do that.
All right. The story of a middleweight boxer as he rises through the ranks to earn his first shot at the middleweight crown. He falls in love with a gorgeous girl from the Bronx. The inability to express his feelings enters into the ring and eventually takes over his life. He eventually is sent into a downward spiral that costs him everything. That is it. So, first off, this is based on a true story.
This is very true. I don't know if you looked into a lot of that.
I looked into it a little bit. So, it's based on the LaMotta brothers.
Yep.
Yep. So, it's based on the LaMotta brothers, and it follows Jake and Joseph. Jake is the boxer, and
He actually
a famous
wrote
boxer.
It's based off of his book. Jake,
Okay.
Jake wrote a book like 10 years prior, and then Hollywood wanted to make it a movie.
Okay, and what I found fascinating is Jake was like a little turned off about how poorly how bad he looked in the movie, but then he eventually went on to say like, yeah, I wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
And then
Well, he
and
wrote
then,
the book.
yeah. Well, and then his brother tried to sue the movie studio because they just painted him so defamation. That's what he was suing him for.
For the Joe Pesci character?
Yes.
What does he do that's so bad?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like Jake's the real monster in this.
He's always telling that's like the beginning scene, the first scene with them two is they're sitting at breakfast. Jake has just finished yelling at his wife, his first wife.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it.
I have a funny thing about that.
Okay. But then Joe Pesci as his brother comes in and they're talking about it, and Joe Pesci's like, you cannot keep doing this, eating like this, treating people like this, fighting like this. You cannot do this.
Yeah, and he never stops.
He's just a grinder, guys. You just don't get it. He's just alpha.
Alpha. All right, do you want to go through the movie a little bit here? I got it broken down so we can talk about each
just-
kind of segment. So
We
it
can
starts.
bullet point it.
So it's one of those movies that starts in the future and then we bounce back. So we start in 1964 when he's rehearsing in the dressing room. And fun fact with that, while he was bigger at the end of the movie. Robert De Niro put on all that weight naturally.
Do you know how much that was?
4 months, and I think he went from, I have it somewhere, he went from 160 pounds to 215 pounds
Yo,
in 4
He
months.
put on 60 pounds.
He what
That's
it say?
55 pounds.
He was going to
Excuse
the best French restaurants all around. People were getting concerned for him.
That's Scorsese said he was like, when De Niro had all the weight, you could tell his breathing was heavy. He just did not sound good. So when they were shooting those parts, everybody was like hurrying up. They're like, let's get this done so you can lose the weight, because we're legitimately worried about you, dude. And also, everyone tried to talk him out of that.
It's crazy.
But he's like, I have to do this.
I love it.
I guess.
It's insane.
I love it. I love the grind.
Yeah,
Method.
so it starts there in the dressing room when he's bigger and just talking about doing his act and doing the rehearsal or whatever. And then after that, that scene ends with, that's entertainment. And then it jumps to the fight back in 1941 where he's fighting against Jimmy Reeves. And this is kind of where our story starts. And he's losing the fight. And then he's in the corner and his brother talks to him and like hypes him up like a hype man or whatever. I don't know. And then he goes back out there and destroys Jimmy, like knocks him down like 3 times. But then Jimmy is saved by the bell and Jimmy wins based off of points. So that's kind of how the whole thing kind of starts. It's kind of giving you the vibe like this dude's really good, but he's getting the short end of the stick.
That opening credit shot of the ring, the wide shot of the ring in that beautiful black and white, and it's slow motion. And Jake LaMotta is in his robe and he's just bouncing. And there's this beautiful classical music. And it reminded me of the way they used to do opening credit scenes way back when, where it wasn't credits over action or like actual part of the movie. There was an opening credits segment where the credits were stagnant. You know, it was very old school.
It felt like Scorsese was doing something that people do now, where it's like, man, I want to make a homage to like the 80s. When he was like, I want to make a homage to like the 40s.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But he did it in in 1980.
And I mean, that was the whole reason for the black and white the whole time. It was how the matches were seen back then.
So that
was the whole point of it.
Scorsese said, to me, the 40s are in black and white. You know, World War II is in black and white. All the footage was in black and white. All the movies were in black and white. So that was his decision. And I believe he had to fight the studio on that. They were pretty against the black and white because it's the 80s. Color has been out for a while.
Yeah, but I thought it was good. Like, it didn't turn me off. I'm usually not a black and white movie kind of person, but
You've seen, we've showed you some black and white stuff. You're fine.
yeah. If you pick a good movie, it doesn't matter if they're in black and white or not.
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay, so after that whole opening scene and the opening credits and he's fighting or whatever, we jump right into kind of Jake at home with his first wife, and he's just an asshole. And that's where we were talking about that earlier. His brother comes in, tries to talk him down, and like, you got to stop being like this. Like, you got to focus on just fighting. But okay, so I'm curious what you think when Jake stands up and tells his brother just to punch him. What's the point of that scene? Because he just punches him and then it doesn't go anywhere.
His brother's mad at him. He's trying to get his rage out. And also, Jake's just a psychopath who doesn't mind getting punched.
Okay, so it's just him being like, brother, you're crazy. You're just mad.
I took it as egotism.
It's both. Yeah, I think it's a measure of all of it.
He is like, you are so puny. I am the best. I'm going to prove to you I'm the best. You can punch me as hard as you can. And then he says while he's punching him, come on, I'm barely bleeding.
And then right after that, we jump to he starts cheating on his wife with a 15-year-old girl.
She was 15?
Yeah. Yeah, they say that. And he's 23.
Okay. The actress did not look 15.
No.
She looked
not at all.
35.
Robert De Niro didn't look 23 either.
No.
Oh.
And they get married in real life. They got married a year later, so 16 and 24 was how they actually got married in real life. And then we get a fight with Sugar Ray Robinson, and he gives him his first loss. So Sugar Ray, that was his first loss in his career. And then in the rematch, Jake loses. And that kind of, but it gives him enough to stand on where, like, dude, this dude can fight. Because I'm pretty sure he was a middleweight boxer and Jackie is a heavyweight, right?
Sure.
They were in a different.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. The boxing is the part of this movie that I care about the least.
That's fair.
Not that it's bad. I enjoy watching it.
But
I
that's
just
not
don't
what
know
it's
anything
about.
about boxing.
He does,
And I don't know what they're talking about when they talk about the boxing specifics.
It's a mix. He does a little bit of both. But for a good chunk of the movie, a lot of the stuff they focus on is him doing middleweight boxing. That's why they focus on him like cutting weight and stuff.
Yeah, and then we get that scene with his wife was seeing. We don't even know if she was actually doing anything with this guy, but the brother comes to basically be like, "Stay away from my brother's wife," and beats the crap out of that guy. And then the mob gets involved because he was part of the mob and pretty much tells him to sacrifice a fight. And he, like, everyone can tell that he blew this fight because he just stood there. And because of that, the people that are in charge of the boxing or whatever, what would you call it? They suspend him for 2 years. So he's out of the game for 2 years. And then he comes back and wins the middleweight boxing, and he becomes the champion. Mm-hmm. And then he starts to, he's still just a crazy dude and just not staying in shape. His brother, still having fights with his brother. He pretty much accuses everyone of sleeping with his wife. So his life is just a mess. And then he goes back to fight Jackie Robinson, and Robinson destroys him. Though that fight does end with him saying, "You never got me to the floor. You never got me down."
Did you just say Jackie Robinson?
Not Jackie Robinson.
I was going to let it go.
Don't say Jackie Robinson. That's a different different sport.
What sport?
Baseball.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay.
Anyways, it kind of ends with his career being in shambles. His wife leaves him with a divorce. He has a nightclub, but then he's letting underage girls into the nightclub, so he goes to jail. And now he's doing stand-up comedy and is married to a stripper. So that is his life. It's pretty brutal. Mm-hmm. But the whole film is just, it was fun. Like the way that he, sorry, that came out so wrong, but the way he filmed it was
his wife
like really good. No.
Is that what you're going to say?
Like, those scenes are legitimately uncomfortable.
Oh,
they
so
are.
bad.
They're painful.
That's more uncomfortable for me than a sex scene is abusive people.
Yeah, that
don't
was
like
painful.
that.
I thought this movie did it very well because it wasn't even more of him. Well, it was him doing it, but it's more of like, when's he going to snap?
Right.
I was waiting for him to just kill someone.
Dude, he was just not a nice guy. I was referring to the fight scenes because the way they filmed that was cool because he did the third person kind of like you felt like part of the fight. And so what he had the camera on a dolly. So he was moving the dolly around to make you feel like you were the third person in the fight.
Yeah, I really like that. And I normally
was actually there.
Yeah.
I was the ref.
I normally don't like the close-up stuff. There's a lot of insert shots that are close-ups, but it really works because, like you said, it's to make you feel like you are in the ring.
So I thought it was cool. Robert De Niro actually boxed during this. So he was boxing for, I think, 6 months, actually competed in 3 actual boxing matches and won 2 of the 3. He was also training with Jake through the whole thing. He did like 1,000 rounds with Jake to learn to box. So I thought that was good. Like he was a legitimate boxer. Already said the camera thing. Let's jump into the budget is $18 million at this time, and then they made $23 million off of it. So they did pretty good. And then I'm pretty sure the Rotten Tomato and I have it right here. Rotten Tomatoes like 93 and IMDb. Sorry, is 8.2. So
All right, I had a couple notes I want to talk about before we move to the next thing. I originally wrote because I wrote a few notes during the movie. I was like, because I didn't realize he gets remarried. This is when he was still with his first wife, and he wasn't punching her yet. I don't think he punches the first.
I don't
wife.
think he ever punched.
But I wrote down loved the fight scenes with Jake and his wife, and then I went back and I wrote first wife when he got remarried, and then I went back and wrote verbal fights.
Okay.
I liked when they were yelling at each other.
Why? Because it was convincing?
Yeah, they're just like 2 Italians just going like, vulgar word I can't say.
I mean, I get why it works for the movie, but I can't stand people
I don't like
that.
that stuff, but
Yeah.
it felt like you were in the fight.
Yeah, I thought it was like
felt
realistic.
like-
It's uncomfortable.
Like,
Yeah,
like when she's like
uncomfortable.
hanging out the window and she's just yelling at him. He's just yelling at her. Like he's yelling at her from like the street. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like it's bad, and I feel bad for the people in real life. Since it's
and when
based
he's
on-
yelling at his neighbors.
yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff's hilarious.
Like the dog.
Yeah,
He's just
where
like
his
going
neighbors
through
are
the
like, be
apartment.
quiet.
He's just like, everybody shut up, shut up. Even though I'm the loud one, shut up.
Even though I'm the one causing this, it's all of your fault. Again, just like Travis Bickle.
I love Joe Pesci. I loved this. You already said it, but the scene where he just does a kingpin and smashes that guy's head in with the
Yeah.
car door. Like, I was like, oh my god.
He just got the dude's head in a taxi and is just smashing. Dude,
That's what he wanted to do to Kevin McAllister in Home Alone.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some of the other stuff that I liked that we haven't talked about yet. I liked when he went to jail or whatever, or they locked him in a cage and he's just like punching the wall. I
Oh yeah.
Yep.
was like, oh my gosh, my hands would hurt if I did that. And then he hits his head. He's like, ow, my head. And I'm like, yeah, you hit your head. You idiot.
And then
Hit your
okay,
head.
so the end scene when he's like talking to himself in the mirror, was it just me or was everything he was saying was like blaming it on his brother, or did I read that wrong? Like he was trying to blame
No, he-
everything on.
I thought he was blaming himself.
He blames
Was he
himself.
blaming himself? Okay.
Because he like
He's
tried,
talking in the mirror, Blaine.
It's like,
Yeah, but I swear he was saying
it's like Michael Jackson.
Joseph.
My favorite. Well, I love all the fight scenes, but I think the most effective. Well, not I don't know the most effective. The one that I was like, oh my gosh, is the one where he punches the one guy and they do the blood splatter and it hits the crowd.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's
Well, wasn't
a
that
lot.
Wasn't that him? Wasn't that Jake?
no.
that
He
got
punched that other guy because he also
Oh
knocked.
no, it was
he
the
knocked
other
his
guy.
mouth guard out.
That was when
too.
he won.
Yeah, he destroyed that guy and he was beating him after he punched his mouth guard
That
out.
was the championship.
It's like he lost. He probably lost some teeth.
Probably.
He's gonna look like a guy with less teeth, like a frog. They don't have teeth. All right, next movie is Goodfellas from 1990, which is the story of an Irish-Italian-American, Henry Hill, and how he lives day-to-day life as a member of the mafia. Based on a true story, the plot revolves around Henry and his two unstable friends, Jimmy and Tommy, as they gradually climb the ladder from petty crime to violent murders.
Jimmy and Tommy mess everything up.
Blaine, you finally learned what it means. The joke we've been saying for like the past ever. The funny how joke. What were your thoughts?
It was a great movie.
Loved it.
I loved it.
I
That
loved
was so much fun.
I love mob movies. This is my favorite mob movie. I think The Godfathers can be probably like picked for like objectively a better movie, but this is
I
my...
disagree with that, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
I disagree with that.
I think Goodfellas is better.
I think you can make an argument for
Yeah,
either.
I get why people do, but for
Yeah.
my personal bias, I think this is better, but I can see how somebody can make the argument for something else.
I think I liked the vibe of the mob more in The Godfather.
Yeah,
but
it's more
I liked-
classical.
Right, but I like the character more in Goodfellas. Like the main character is just so
Yeah.
much cooler.
I think of the flow of Goodfellas is much better than Godfather.
It is a better ensemble cast.
Goodfellas ramps up. Godfather is pretty slow the whole time, and then all of a sudden the baptism scene at the end is just like whoop.
Yeah,
There's a couple of spikes in there.
It was more fun, I guess. Is that a good way to put it? This Goodfellas
No.
had more just like it started more fun. Am I wrong? I thought it was
Look at
funny
my suit, Ma.
when they beat. Yeah, that was funny. Or when they
Yeah, the opening
took
scene's
the
great.
mailbox, or not the mailbox, the mailman. They took him aside and were like, don't bring any other mail with his name on it.
Blaine, you haven't seen these movies. Did you like these movies?
All three of them.
Did you like? I mean, were they what you expected? Were we expecting something more brutal, less brutal? Like,
I went into them not expecting anything. I would say Taxi Driver is the only one that isn't my speed. Like I
Really?
don't
Okay.
like that type of movie. The other two are more what I like because I like sports stuff and I like that kind of like badass,
the mob.
the mob.
Like,
I mean, the beginning of the movie is seeing him use all of his connections, and it's just so good when he's like taking his girl out, and he's just knows everybody.
Oh, yeah.
he gets the best seat at the restaurant.
well, it's not
Oh,
even
it's so good.
It's not even if he knows him. It's just they know of him,
Right.
and they
know
not
his
want to
connections.
upset him. Like when he said when he was a kid and he was working with the mob and his parents didn't have a car, but his neighbors stopped parking in their driveway. Like that kind of stuff is just like, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't really want to spoil it that much because I mean, like it's so iconic. I just recommend watching it, even if if you have to watch one mob movie, this is the mob movie you should watch. Will, any comments on the Goodfellas? Were they bad fellas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say they were pretty bad fellas.
That was a
Again,
bold
I mean, it's
stance.
Scorsese, so his camera work and his lighting is impeccable.
And Joe Pesci's there.
And yes, Joe Pesci steals every scene he's in.
Like when he kills that guy. Well, which guy?
Just
actually?
crazy.
They're all pretty funny.
I'm thinking of the one where they're playing poker.
Oh yeah, that kid. He's an adult. I don't laugh at children dying. I laugh at grown men dying.
Well, I mean, watching this, I told you, and we texted you this. It just felt like The Wolf of Wall Street. I could
Yeah.
just
There's
tell
another one.
when I
Yep.
was watching it. I just felt like The Wolf of Wall Street. He just paced a little quicker, but other than that, it's the same damn thing.
Well, it's
Just
I mean,
different
it's not the same
characters.
thing. But the characters
The way
that Scorsese,
the way he told the story.
well, the subject matter that interests Scorsese are those characters that are their own downfall, which is Wolf of Wall
the
Street.
worst people.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
want to root for just the worst people.
Yeah, that's his strength though is giving them some kind of goodness to make the audience relate to them, and then halfway through they turn, and then as the audience you're like, you're pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right, I have random facts now.
Yay.
All right, Blaine, I picked some of these just for you, and maybe you will. Maybe I'll surprise Will with the fact. I probably won't. Okay, Blaine, the iconic "The How Funny Am I" scene. So apparently that's not based off of something that happened to Henry Hill in real life. That's just something that happened to Joe Pesci in real life while he was working at a restaurant, like as a kid. And apparently he told a mobster that he was funny, and that exact same scene happened, but it was like reversed.
Joe Pesci was
The
guy.
the Henry Hill character, but it wasn't based on Henry Hill. It was based on Joe Pesci in real life.
Ah.
And Scorsese thought it was so funny that he just added it to the movie.
It's pretty funny.
Because they were just talking about mob stuff. He's like, I insulted a mobster once as a child.
Accidentally.
Accidentally. That scene, they also only told the two main guys there, and all the guys sitting at the table didn't know that was happening, and they were like, what?
Oh gosh.
So that's why like a lot of the other guys are kind of just like, I don't know what is going on. According to somebody who worked on the movie, apparently to get a more authentic feel, because like a lot of the background people are like, oh my gosh, these guys are good. Like they just felt so authentic. It's because they were. They hired real mobsters for the movie.
Nice.
And they don't know who they were because they gave Warner Bros. Fake social security numbers. So they couldn't track them down to get arrested. Which is so amazing. I love it.
That's how you make a good movie.
Joe Pesci won an Oscar for this movie. And he I'm assuming it was for supporting actor, I guess, or something like that. But he has the sixth shortest speech in Academy's history for accepting an Oscar, and it's like 100 years or whatever of winning an award because he didn't think he was going to win. He walked up there and said, "It's my privilege, thank you," and then he walked away.
That's awesome. You said six.
What's the first? Just
There's
thanks.
like thanks or thank you. There's a few of those.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had that extra "it's my privilege" on it, and that's how he beat like 4 other people. You know the scene where you go to the Joe Pesci's like mom's house or whatever? Mm-hmm. That's Scorsese's real life mom.
Yeah.
I think you told me that while we were watching that.
It's Joe Pesci's mom.
Yeah.
Joe
it
Pesci's
is.
character's mom.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
it was Scorsese's mom, but I knew it was somebody's mom.
No. Hang on. Sorry. It's Scorsese's mom in real life.
Okay,
She's
okay.
playing Joe Pesci's character's mom,
Yeah.
and she had no dialogue. That's
Yes.
just her talking.
Yes. So a lot of that scene's improvised. So like him picking up the knife and saying, "I want this knife." Like that's a lot of that's improvised. And also they didn't tell the mom that there was like a dead body in the car. She just thought that they were like coming over to eat food, and that's why she's like just like, "I love you guys."
That's what makes it so
Yeah, that's what makes
creepy.
it feel
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so genuine.
like these messed up men are just going to this nice lady's house.
Yeah.
And she's like treating them so nice.
All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite thing. We duke a thing and we nuke a thing, and Will usually pukes on another thing.
Nukes, pukes.
Thank you, Blaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the rules are you got to duke at least one and you got to nuke at least one.
Them's the rules.
Them's the rules. You can't
Them's the
change it
rules.
unless you get elected, and you can vote in and vote for new rules. It's a political podcast. Blaine, you go first. Yours is kind of obvious.
Mine is obvious. I am duking Goodfellas. I am duking
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
And I'm nuking Taxi Driver.
But did you like it though? I mean, it's not your thing, but did you like you?
It was a good movie. I don't like that type of movie.
So a lot of people consider it not only Martin Scorsese's best movie, but one of the best films of all time. Thoughts?
I
Like,
don't
do you-
think so.
Ooh. I mean, that's your
didn't
opinion. You
think
can
so.
have it.
I thought it was a better movie than Raging Bull overall. I like Raging Bull more, but I thought it was a better movie than Raging Bull.
Oh, really?
But I could weigh the Goodfellas and Taxi Driver the same. I don't think Taxi Driver's leaps and bounds ahead of Goodfellas. I think it's about the same.
Now, do you like Raging Bull or Goodfellas more?
I like Goodfellas more.
Ooh, fancy. Are we just doing this out of everything or just our opinions for like right now?
What? Huh?
What do you mean?
Like, is it like what it's fresh, or if I go back, it's like, should I do the future?
What are
That's
you
okay.
talking about?
No. I see what you're saying. Like my thought, I'm struggling right now. Do I go with ones that I would want to like? Which one would I watch over the other?
Well, not
like, what are
even-
the two that I'd be quickest to rewatch? But also, which one's more important out of the two? I'm struggling with. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, what's a better made one? Even though I prefer the other.
See, my opinion didn't change, but I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I would do in the moment. Just
because if we're doing in the moment, then I'm gonna switch it up then. So, because I've seen Goodfellas before, but if we're doing in the moment, I might have to nuke Goodfellas.
really.
I love it. It's my favorite.
I was gonna say you love it.
It's also like probably my top like 15 favorite movies of all time. But just in the moment, like, I mean, eventually Goodfellas will go back over Taxi Driver. But I'm like, I really like Taxi Driver though. It's not like my thing, like you said, as much, but like I still really liked it. You know, I'm glad I watched it. I wouldn't rewatch it as much as Goodfellas, but I'm like, man, this is, it's a better version of the Joker. Like it's pretty good, and I liked the Joker.
That's right. I very much dislike the Joker. Same vibe. I just
So yeah,
hate it.
I will have to nuke Goodfellas as much as it hurts me
Wow.
to say that, and I'll have to do Taxi Driver and Raging Bull because I've never seen anything about Raging Bull. I've seen clips of Taxi Driver, but those two are really good, and I think they deserve the respect of not nuking them.
Would you put Taxi on top?
No,
You put Raging Bull first?
Raging Bull's on top.
Really?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's not even close.
Really?
I liked Raging Bull a lot more than Taxi Driver, but I like Taxi
so
Driver.
did I. But yeah.
Well, it's no surprise which one's my highest nuke, and that's Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver might be my favorite Scorsese film. I think my nuke is going to have to be Raging Bull.
That's what I was thinking you were pick.
Maybe if I went before Jack, I might have nuked Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to go with Raging Bull.
And I feel like you were leaning towards that just so we could all nuke one of them to make them feel more equal.
Well, no, but I'm thinking, okay, no.
They are.
If
so
I'm
good.
thinking, because I was going to go Goodfellas if I was going to do the route of which one do I think is a more important film.
Yeah, and
I
which
think
one I'd
Raging Bull
rewatch
is
later,
more
yeah.
important, but I would sooner watch Goodfellas, and I enjoy Goodfellas more than Raging Bull.
Okay. Duke Nuke segment done.
It's done.
done.
Put it on the shelf.
Done.
Lock it up. Key.
Wow.
Blaine, take the key.
Oh, thank you.
Nope, I already threw it away.
I was gonna put it in my mouth.
Well, now you're putting nothing in your mouth.
Oh.
All right. Next thing. What we watching? Watching. I watched two big boy movies this week. Well, not big boy movies. They're just movies. I watched the sequel to the Netflix critically acclaimed Murder Mystery 2 with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston this week.
Oh my God. Murder Mystery was. I think I know what one that is. Is that when they're like on a tropical?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so painful. They
So-
made another one.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
And it's what you'd expect.
it's so bad.
I had a good time. It's not good, but I liked it. All right, then I watched one other movie. I watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods, second Shazam movie. It did really bad in the box office,
Yes,
and it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was okay.
I heard it was kind of like
It was
the first
fun.
one.
It was fine, and it was fun. The first one's probably better, but the second one's not bad at all.
I didn't like the first one.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, maybe I don't know. That's everything I have. I'm not recommending either of those things. But I'll recommend Shazam. Shazam was good.
Okay.
It was fine. Will.
I'm going second today?
Yay, Will.
Wow. Okay. So Teen Titans again, the OG Teen Titans. And then I watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. The recent Nicolas Cage movie that came out where Nicolas Cage plays Nick Cage. Opposite Pedro Pascal, who plays a very rich, eccentric man who is the biggest Nick Cage fan in the world. And Nick Cage gets invited to come to this man Javi's party in exchange for $1 million. And it's pretty fun. Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal have really good chemistry together.
I really want to watch that movie.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I'd recommend it. It's a good popcorn flick. Nick Cage making fun of himself, self-aware. That's pretty fun. I will say there's kind of a mystery element, and I was more intrigued with the mystery than the answer, aka the third act kind of drops the ball, but that's okay.
Well, that's not that kind of a movie.
It's not exactly. So basically, Javi, the character of Javi, writes a script, and he wants Nicolas Cage to act in it, and they end up just bonding over their love of film. And what I liked the most about the movie is them two hanging out and talking about movies, because they talk about Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, a silent film that's over 100 years old now, and then Paddington 2 in the same breath.
So a couple guys like movies and they hang out talking about movies.
Well, yeah, but
Like a podcast.
one of them's a billionaire and the other one's Nick Cage.
You don't know my bank account.
And you
Fair,
don't know if I'm Nick Cage or not.
Yeah. There's a better chance that you're Nick Cage. Blaine, what did you watch?
I only watched Schitt's Creek. And we didn't watch that much. We are like one episode away from finishing it, but we're close. But
Did
that's
you
all
like
we
it?
watched. So far, I haven't. I hope they end it well, but so far it's really good.
I mean, you're like 99% through that show.
Yeah, but the last episode can make or break the last season.
I mean,
feel like.
you're right, but overall, that doesn't make it a bad season.
No,
It depends
overall it's
on-
a good show.
It depends on if the penultimate episode is really good, because sometimes the last episode is just like the epilogue.
Yeah.
Like all the
Yeah.
cool stuff happens in the second to last episode.
A river for news.
And ooze.
Because they're gross. News and ooze. Look, they're being delivered by a little guy in a taxi car. Oh, he's doing a political assassination.
I was waiting for the sound effect.
Was it not a gunshot because he didn't
missed.
do it?
He was missed.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Ooh, there was a trailer, new Marvel trailer. Get excited for the Marvels. Get excited. I actually wasn't going to say this, but I am going to say it because it is, I think it's the first trailer that Marvel's released that has like the most dislikes or something. And
Is it the one with Nick?
no, that's Secret Wars. This is Miss Marvel, the Captain Marvel. Like it's the new It's Captain Marvel 2. It's just called the Marvels.
I
There's
mean,
some
I'm
other
not excited.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I
been,
haven't been excited for a Marvel movie in a while.
I give it benefit of the doubt sometimes, even though I agree it's bad. But this one I think is especially going to be bad because this has been pushed back a lot.
So I think we can all say, ew.
Ooh.
Who likes Stranger Things?
I do.
All right. Do you like animated series based off of live action shows?
No.
We'll get excited for Netflix because they'll make an animated Stranger Things show.
They tell you anything about?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I don't know if it's the same characters. Don't know if it's a spinoff. Don't know nothing. It's just Stranger Things set show.
I mean, they got to keep going. I'd rather them keep going with some garbage that's not related. That's
Ooh,
like its own.
Well,
Don't touch the main content.
speaking of touching main content, did you see the new trailer for The Continental?
No.
So this is a prequel TV show set in the 1970s in the John Wick universe about how Winston gets the Continental Hotel.
I don't like TV shows. I don't like when they do
But-
a TV
or
show,
it-
but it sounds good.
It's like I don't know if how many. It's apparently like a mini series, like a
Okay,
three,
so 6 episodes are done.
I think it might be 3. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
it's something like that, and it's going to be on HBO Max. I think.
Ooh.
Many things.
Can Winston really carry his own show?
Well, it's not the same guy. It's a younger actor playing him because it's like
I understand that. I'm saying the character of Winston.
I mean,
I don't know.
he has to have some type of past to be able to be where he is.
I think it's the same
Yeah,
guy.
but I don't know. That's like the one thing that I don't want to know.
Second last thing in news, Amazon is going to do a new Stargate movie, Will.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a RoboCop TV show.
Leave it alone.
I
There's
haven't
already
even
been a
seen the
cartoon
original.
RoboCop, a remake RoboCop, 3 sequels RoboCop, and don't even get me started on all the... What was the first one you said?
Stargate.
Yeah, there's a ton of Stargate. There's like 4 or 5 movies, a couple TV shows. Nah, no thanks.
This is not really news. I mean, it is news. So the Super Mario Bros. Movie has officially become the highest-grossing movie of the year. It has passed over $500 million.
It's not really competing against anything, though.
I mean, it's not, but it's just kind of just crazy how much money that animated movie made.
People love junk food.
And it's currently on track to make over $1 billion.
Good for them.
I know Will's excited.
I mean,
Go Chris Pratt.
it has
Go
nothing
Chris
to
Pratt.
do with me.
Blaine, explain the next episode.
The next episode will be Lord of the Rings. So we will finally be doing our Lord of the Rings. I've been consuming a crap ton of Lord of the Rings. We are also going to be seeing
We all watch the extended editions.
extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and we'll be seeing the third one in theaters because they're playing at our theater. So we're getting ready for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, come watch it with us. Even
What's
though
the catch, though, of that episode, Blaine?
The catch is I'm going to be explaining a shit ton of Lord of the Rings to you guys while I'm drunk. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm just excited to get alcohol.
does that joke?
This was his idea. We should specify this was his idea.
All right. That's next week.
Are you sure you're not
2
drunk
weeks.
now? So whatever bi-weekly or weekly thing we end up doing, either way, the new upload day will be Saturdays. You can email us at DukesNukesPod@gmail.com. Tell us why Blaine made such a good idea and how it's going to go swimmingly. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else that happens to be this podcast. Follow us on YouTube at DukesNukes, or be a rebel and follow us on the YouTube competitor Rumble at DukesNukesPod. It's one word since someone took Duke's Nukes. I knew it was you. Climb. All right. Well, thank you for editing the podcast, being our editor-in-chief. Blaine, thank you for being Mr. Artsy Fartsy. And thank you, random person, for listening. Will, I picked a special person this week. I picked Rex.
Oh!
I picked friend of the show, wrestler Rex.
Yeah, pro wrestler.
Will, explain what Rex does. Give Rex a shout out.
Well, he's a pro wrestler.
He's fantastic. I've watched him twice now. Will's watched him maybe thrice.
Visit your local pro wrestling circuit. It's a good time.
It is a good time. I've been indoctrinated.
Blaine's next. Bye.
Bye.
Drive safe. And a long time ago from now in the future.
If you're listening to this on Thursday, it will not be next Thursday.
But it won't be Thursday.
It will be the next
We're
Thursday.
recording this late. This will maybe come out like on Saturday or something.
So if you're listening to this on Saturday,
Remember when we said post?
it won't be next Thursday. It will be the next Thursday. Right?
So when you're listening on this on a day that ends in Y, it'll just happen. All days end in Y, Blaine. It's okay.
I was just I was going through each one, making sure. Day.
You've broken me.